little bit about what I think is the unique relationship that this radio station has with the people who listen to it, because there's not really a line between us, because like we're all listeners. We all like the music that we play, and the things that we do are kind of extensions of our own lives. Jimmy loves fishing. Well, we created a fishing trip. I love skiing. Well, we created ski trips. And there's multiple examples. Well, there's just times when the situation has asked us to step up and be part of the audience lives in ways that most radio stations don't get a chance to be. And every time that we've done that, I feel like we have really risen to the occasion, because whatever we're going through, whatever we're going through with the audience, we're all going it together. And I think there's a lot of areas where that's true. And I don't want to steal anyone's answer on this topic. So I just want to, but I think we should at least acknowledge the fact that how you guys hang with us, whenever you do, for whatever time you do, is an honor to everyone who is here and everyone who's behind the microphone, and that we don't take that relationship lightly, and we appreciate it, and it's important to us, like, as people. Isn't it weird? Like, it's like it gets to be important to us to think about local businesses that advertise with us and do well, because of that. And it gets important to think about, like, listeners' kids going to college and being like, holy, like, your kid is in college. You're going, you guys are going through the same stuff. And
there's definitely a kinship there.
So I don't know, if there was an opportunity for you to think about going through stuff with the audience, I think there's some obvious examples, and maybe there's stuff that, you know, that it could even be as simple as a phone call to the radio station where you're like, my gosh, I'm sorry you're going through that, or you're celebrating something that I want to celebrate too. You know, Robin, you want to?
Yeah, Rob.
You know, you don't realize how you touch people's lives when you're on the air unless you hear from them. You're going about, you know, prepping for my, you know, your show. I'm going to speak for myself. Prepping for my show. I'm in here early doing some, you know, music director stuff, and prepping for my show, and I'm going on the air gangbusters. I love what I do. It's my passion. Music is my passion. And the fact that I get to share it with our listeners it makes the passion even, takes it to a different level. I got a phone call one day, and I still remember sending the email to Carl and Dan. It was I played Far From Home from Five Finger Death Punch. And we played a different version than that was on the album. We played a radio version. And I got a phone call from a soldier who is disabled at this point. He was going through a lot. And he said, where can I get a version of that song, Far From Home? It's reminding me of, you know, when I was in Iraq and my buddies and all the people I lost. And I said, I'm sorry, it's only available to radio, but I'd be happy to make you a copy and either, you know, burn it onto CD or send it in an email. And he goes, you do that for me? I said, absolutely. So I got off the air and I did that. I don't know, a week or two later, maybe actually it was further down the road, a few months later, I get an email from this guy. His name is Mike. And he said, you have no idea how you saved my life that day. I was contemplating suicide because of the PTSD. He was in the middle of a really nasty divorce, looking at the prospect of never seeing his young child again. I mean, he was going through a lot. And he said, if you didn't you picked up that phone, you talked to a stranger, not only did you answer my question, but you went out of your way and sent me a copy of the only, the radio version of the song. He goes, if you didn't pick up that phone, I might not be here right now. I'm better, I'm gainfully employed, and I have full custody of my child. Just because some woman picked up the phone and talked to a complete stranger. You have just stuff like that is very impactful. You have no idea when you go on the air, this is what's going on in people's lives. But that story it sits with me, and there's a ton of other examples. I'm sure all of you have something.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do. I have one, but it's kind of it's not nearly as impactful as that. And at the time, it wasn't a damn bit funny. But now that everything turned out okay, we can laugh about it. Jimmy, I think you know where I'm going with this. Way back in, I still want to say it was the 1990s, Jimmy. Maybe it was
might have been 2001 or so, but
may have been. But it was a long time ago because I was doing PM Drive at the time.
I think it's better if I tell the story because you're kind of like the star of the story. So it's better if I. Why don't you tell the first half of the?
I'll set it up.
Set it up, Steve.
And first of all, to all of our Rat Rockers who have been with us for all these years, and many of them have. Big up to you because it really does mean something. This station does have a connection. All of us are radio veterans. Most of us were radio veterans before we even started here. I'd worked at a lot of big stations prior to this, or at least two big major market stations. I've never in my entire career worked at a radio station that was so connected with its audience and its community as the Rat is. So I think we all do take pride in that. But and we've also lost some great ones. Rock and Roll George was a great regular. Kim the Cleavage Queen. I went to the Stones with her in 2002. But way back in the day when I was still doing PM Drive and Jimmy was coming on after me, there was a girl that had been, I think she was like 10 or 11 years old, that had been abducted from her yard in Spring Lake. And of course, there was. I think this may have. I don't know if even the Amber Alert was around back then, but we were getting calls from police and everybody, and Spring Lake, hell, it's several blocks away. So this girl had been abducted, and right before I got off the air, her uncle called and made a request, and I'll let Jimmy take it from here.
So they it was actually a sting. They set up with the abductors to meet at the Monmouth Mall, I believe it was. And there was a sting, and they got the girl back, and there was no money exchanged, and the guys went to jail. The bad guys got taken down. So it was about 6:30, 6:45, and I'm in talking to Steve, and the phone rings, and the guy says, we had the speakerphone at the time, just like we do now. This is the guy's uncle. The girl's uncle. Everybody's safe. Everything's fine. We just want to, keep our privacy, but we appreciate you guys putting the word out all day. And a lot of friends and family were listening to the radio station. And now that everything's cool, could you just send a song out? And Steve says, "Sure. What song?" And he says, and whatever you got coming up next, just send it out to the family." So hangs up and stuff, and I go,
"He asked for you too."
Yeah. Oh yes.
Oh no.
He
said, "Whatever you have coming up next." And Steve goes, "Well, I can't play this." And I go, "What?" And he goes, "It's I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For."
Oh, I knew it. I was gonna say if it's the song I'm thinking of.
Let me just add a little bit. We at the time she was we had not publicly aware of the fact that she had been found.
Right.
The guy that had abducted her had mental issues, and it was not a sexual thing or anything. He thought he was helping her.
Right.
And he was. They got up with him. They dropped her off at Monmouth Mall, and he ended up going to a psych or something. I think he's fine now, but it wasn't like. Yeah, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. That was a pretty good one.
There's a woman and her niece who come to every single broadcast for the people, and every single year she's there and her niece is there, and her niece brings all of this food, and it's every single year. And you go to the broadcast for the people, and you see the same people helping out other New Jerseyans, and you go to different Rat Fests, and you see the same people, and it's fantastic. You get rides to Rat Fest, or you get rides to the Stones or AC/DC or GNR. We're as connected with the audience because we're getting rides from you guys, or you're getting, or we're giving you rides, or it works out that way. I can tell you that. Being in a bit of a unique position here, you're talking about Spring Lake. That's where I grew up, and so I'm kind of in a weird position where, as a kid, I wanted more rock and roll, and I wanted more rock and roll stations. I was very, very, I still am. And when you're in the '90s and Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, everybody's exploding, Smashing Pumpkins, it's like this is the best. And I needed more rock and roll, and we just didn't have enough stations. And I was right here at the Jersey Shore, me and all my friends. I'm talking 30 people. 30 guys, like all of the friends, we're all listening to rock, and we're just like, we were bummed out at that point. It's kind of pre-internet, so we couldn't get Spotify or anything like that, and we had no options. And then here comes the Rat 25 years ago, and it was fantastic. I can't tell you how it impacted me and my friends and on all of the parties that we had right here, Spring Lake Heights, Wall.
It would have been so much better if you were the kid that was abducted.
And it's shots like that by Jim Steele that are just, during a moment like this. It's unbelievable, but, I mean, that's why I routinely beat Jim in the Rats Pro Football Pick'em Challenge, because I have class and he does not. Go ahead, guys.
I'll share a story with you on, Saturday night house party. I mean, it's always upbeat. It's always rocking like that. You never know what's going to be calling into the show.
What is calling into the show?
You never get it. I mean, everybody's party time. Well, I answered the phone one night, going a while back, and a gentleman was going through a rough time, like you guys said, and he was really down on his luck there, and he was going through like a divorce, and he couldn't get his. He was trying to get custody of his kids and everything else, and you know what? I played a long song. I remember that. I played a long song, and I know it's our job to be the radio people and talk a lot, but it's also our job, and matter of fact, Mr. Carl Kraft taught me this, but he goes, it's listening. You have to listen to what, make sure a lot of these people don't, that are going through this stuff, they just don't have anybody to talk to. So I sat there and I listened for maybe about 9 minutes, I would say, and he was so thankful for me doing that, and he had called back a couple times, and he was going to commit suicide, and his ex-wife had called the police on him to oh my God, he might do this, but he calls me to this day, and he's alive, he's well, he's got his kids back, he's down in North Carolina, and he listens to me. He's still on this every Saturday night on the RAT website there, WRT.com. So thankful, just being thankful right there.
Yeah.
I guess it makes a lot of sense to bring up the connection that we had with you during Sandy.
Yes.
Because we were knee deep in that with you, and you even more than anyone, Jim.
Yeah.
After getting your place flooded, being so close to the bay. I feel like we grew up radio-wise during Sandy. Like, there were a lot of dick jokes, and there were some great promotions, great rock shows, but we had to put our big boy girl pants on at Sandy and realize that the radio station needs to be more than just good times. That when lives are in the balance, we need to drive through the storm and then lead through the storm and give people the information they need to literally find each other, find family members, find food, find water, find ice, find everything that people needed to get through that. And hearing from you after that was really meaningful for me, and I think to everyone, because we realized, wow, we're kind of just feeling our way in the dark sometimes with this radio station, but we were able to step up and be a group of professionals. And we won an award for
Yeah.
our news coverage for Sandy.
Yeah, and we all got the
And-
news jackets.
and we all got yeah, like our names on all of our names are on the trophy, and you know.
I think one thing, bouncing off what Carl just said, is that you know, we were important to the community in a kind of a different way at that time during Sandy. But I also think that you said that we grew up at that point, and I think that also that prepared us for what we've been dealing with for the last year and a half with the pandemic, especially the first few months. And I think we could all agree about that.
Yeah.
We needed to be. We needed to be whatever you needed us to be, whether it was just playing the songs or, you know, letting you know what is open, what's not open, you know, the latest CDC information and whatnot. It all kind of blends together into, you know, we're part of the community just like you are.
You know, I had to step out of the room for a second. I don't know if you were talking about Sandy. As tragic as that was, there were some funny and joyful moments in it, in that the connection with the audience, people, you know, we were exchanging information, putting people on the air. Oh, I need a gas station, I need, you know, gas for my generator or whatever. And then, you know, people were asking a bunch of different questions about things that were really important, and until the guy calls up and goes, man, could somebody tell me where I can find an open liquor store? I mean, stuff like that. And people would call up. It's like we were exchanging information. Listeners were exchanging information with us, and we were giving them information in return. It was like synchronized almost. That's the way what I felt. I don't know.
To me, and I think back on some of those broadcasts during the days and even weeks aftermath of Sandy, it reminded me of that old 60s movies. It's a mad world where people are calling up saying, where can I get, toilet paper or whatever, and then all of a sudden 8 people will call up, and then you can just picture everybody hauling ass to this one little podunk place in like Hazlitt or something to get their 2-ply or to get their case of beer. And it really was funny. I mean, people would call up and say, my food's going to go bad if I don't get ice, and then you'd put a call out on the air. Hey man, let us know if you got anywhere that got ice. And it really was like Robin said, it was kind of funny in that way. But at the same time, it really was kind of as corny as it sounds, almost a bonding experience with the community, because obviously we're part of the damn community, and we were looking for the liquor stores too. So it was, it wasn't like it was completely self-sacrifice. We got some pretty good info too on where to get the beers and whatnot. But that was some crazy times. You wanted to say something?
No, I mean, yeah, I guess that's what we're here for. You know, Jimmy brought up the pandemic, and it's something that very, you know, hits close to home, because my dad died during the pandemic, and it still is a very difficult thing to process. You realize that that funerals and wakes are not for the deceased as much as they're for the living, and because of the lockdown, we haven't been able to have a funeral and have a proper Irish wake, and it's really been very difficult on the family. It caused a lot of emotional stress. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because radio allows you to escape your problems, and it's the greatest, whether you're listening or whether you're really, really lucky and you just hit the lottery, and yeah, it doesn't pay great, but it's an easy job, it's a fun job to do. And whether you're listening or whether you're doing the job, you can escape for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And that escape is you know, you were hearing about the stories of people needing someone to talk to. You know, for me, this past year, it's simply been, you know, find ways to distract my own mind because of all the stuff that I'm going through with my dad and then with my mom. There's a lot on the table, and that's where the rat comes in. It comes in and provides a nice distraction, a nice release, and, you know, a fun escape. You can just chill, get out, you can be with your friends, whether you're listening to your friends on the radio, you're seeing your friends on the radio at a gig, at a Halloween party, or whatever. It's a fun, nice, you know, distraction. Gotsy?
Just going back to Sandy, though, I mean, hell, I was out with power for 28 days, and
You've been out with power for decades. It's because you didn't pay the bill.
never mind that. No, but
Come on.
there's a rat listener that lives right down the road from the rat. You know, that's where I was taking my hot showers. That's, you know, they let me right charging my phone even, and just, you know, it was a rat listener. You know, come right by. I
They're like,
said,
God,
"No problem."
it's April. The storm was in October.
Yeah. I've been there ever since. I've been there ever since.
I've got 2 new kids.
I'm still waiting on DNA test.
Oh, God.
I don't know. Did we mind that one enough? Is there anything else on that?
You are the
I mean,
father.
I guess, you know,
Fun stuff.
one area that we've supported each other is in. Is in the all too often deaths in the rock world that we've gone through, and you know, I mean, Dave and I were on the air when Chris Cornell's news came out.
Awful.
You know, different people are on different shifts for, you know, the various disasters that happen that we have to share with people.
9/11.
9/11.
Was
Yeah,
I'm the one that called up, and I was on vacation that week.
I know. I recall. I recall the two things I remember from that morning, 9/11, were your call and everyone going down to the office that's right behind us here, where the only TV was, turning on the TV, and me here. I didn't go down because I had to operate the radio station, and hearing the screams from everyone who had turned on the TV and witnessed the second plane. Just like so many people did, and those, I'll never forget the screams. That's two sounds that'll stick with me forever.
Yeah.
I don't know, did anyone else want to say anything about 9/11?
I'll go ahead. No, you go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, I don't know if you remember this, but since we just had the 20th anniversary a short time ago, I was talking to our digital coordinator, Lauren, about this. And she was saying, you know, do you remember the 9/11 at the radio station? I said, you know, one thing that vividly sticks in my mind is when we all went out into the parking lot and we had the candlelight vigil out in the parking lot. Do you remember that when we had the candles and we sat out there? Steve, do you remember that? Maybe I was out there by myself. I remember.
Listen, there's a lot of stuff that happens after 4 or 5 o'clock that I'm not around.
Yeah. home. Well, I think maybe Doug set it up. I remember Doug was out there, Mary Ann. I think maybe Steve was out there, and some of the office people, and we all went out and we just sat with the candles, and it was like a little vigil and a moment of silence, I guess, if you will. So that was it. Unless I was dreaming it.
I don't think you were, and I don't think I was there, but Carl certainly doesn't vividly remember that. I think what happened was, I think Carl's right. He left early because he was on the air at 6 a.m., which means he got here at probably 4:30 or 5 a.m. I was on vacation that week, and I had 2 young daughters, and I'll, you know, that's one of those, they say it about, of course, the Challenger disaster. You remember exactly where you were. Some of the oldest rat rockers remember where they were when Kennedy was shot, for God's sake. And that's kind of how 9/11 was. It's exactly how it was. And I was sitting actually in my bed, getting ready to get up and get the kids ready for school. And my normal kind of modus operandi is to turn on the TV and have the news going so I can hear what's going on in the world. And that's when I called Carl. And I remember Carl was like, "Well, you got to get here." But the problem was, my wife at the time and her mother-in-law, so the grandma and mommy, had gone to like IKEA or something, and I was left with the kids. I had nothing to do with the kids, so I called up and shared that news. That was a hell of a day. 9/11. 9/11. That was and since then we've got studio TVs in every damn room in the station. Now.
Well, and you know, our reaction to that was similar to what then we grew into with Sandy, which was what I call emergency radio now. And it was a decision it was a conscious decision to publicize every blanket drive, every food drive, every blood drive that you possibly could, and where people could bring things to donate for the efforts at Ground Zero in Manhattan. But then it was a conscious decision to also play music and to be a spot on the dial where people could
Distraction.
have a distraction, kind of like you were just saying, Dave, that we had a fine line between those two experiences at that in that emergency. And anyway,
I got something to add.
Yeah.
If you want. When the last few years, for whatever reason, Gotts and I have been on 9/11 together, and except for this year, Carl. But usually you're out, and we always play Tom Petty, "I Won't Back Down." And I asked Gotts if I could play that song, and the reason why is because after 9/11, our family went to the first Yankee game that they opened the stadium, and it was
Against
crazy.
the Braves.
And they had you're right. And they had a beautiful ceremony, bagpipes. They did all this stuff. They played Star Spangled Banner, and everything was great. But the thing that hit home the most, while the Yankee pitcher was warming up, the Yankee PA system played "I Won't Back Down" by Tom Petty, and it's the power of rock because people, they were singing Star Spangled Banner, they were singing God Bless America. They were shouting with love, I'm saying, Tom Petty's "I Won't Back Down."
Pissed.
And it is why rock matters, why the Rat matters. Every 9/11, I always ask God, if we're on together, can we play the Tom Petty "I Won't Back Down" in honor of that statement? So it's a great thing, again, that you can have a local radio station who really understands the vibe of the community. It really is. You want to say anything?